let's talk about micro frontends now. This was the background which I was talking about, Webpack and all. And now let's dive into the micro frontends stuff. So, micro frontend is an architectural pattern that extends the principle of microservices to the front-end development space. So, what microservices is for backend, it is the same thing for the micro frontend is for the front-end development space. So what we do in that micro frontend architecture is to decompose the front-end application into smaller, loosely coupled and independently deployable units. Okay, so they are pointing to different microservices. One micro frontend MFE has one repo and it has one separate CI/CD pipeline. Each micro frontend represents a distinct area of failure of the overall application and can be developed, tested, and deployed independently. So that means we deploy the micro frontend independently, as I told you earlier also, and accordingly it works. So so it has a container application. Micro frontend has a container application which is the heart of the application and in which holds everything. So this is nothing but a host actually. Host is very important. Host and remote, these are two things which micro frontend component, micro frontend architecture always possesses. So host and container both are same. So whatever settings and whatever configurations, important configurations we have, like exposing remote, this one, everything is handled from the container. And generally state management and centralized middlewares also are written in the container application only. You will understand going further. So these are just the terms which I am explaining so that you understand. And routing and navigation are also handled from the container, because let's say you have 10 different repos. So it is not possible for you to manage the routing from all the 10 repos. So you do routing from only one repo, that is a container. So container will only contain the centralized thing which are there, and this is a host. That's why it's very, very important. It should be always in on mode. We cannot keep it in the off mode. Okay. And communication, they exchange the data. Micro frontends need a way to communicate. How do they communicate? There are different ways. Like they can do Redux state management in terms of React. They can have event bus. They can use the local storage. They can maybe use the queue. Whatever is there actually. Okay, so everything can be done. So it's very important thing that communication should happen between the micro frontends. Otherwise, it will of no use. Styling and CSS are little bit challenging. Why? Because we cannot have separate stylings for each micro frontend repo. There are 10 repos and we cannot have 10 different styles and maintain everything on 10 different repos. So if we maintain it on the central place, I have created video on that also. Okay, so we do the linking and we do the sharing of that styling and CSS. Building and deployment, they are deployed independently, as I told you, and they have their own build pipelines, frameworks, deployment mechanisms. So all that stuff, release management and everything. Cross-cutting concerns actually. So they are having the authentication, internationalization, and internally they are using the module federation plugin. They are internally authenticated actually in reality, because one MFE exposes some components, other MFE takes that as a remote. So both are doing the handshake. That's how they are authenticated. And overall, the microservice architectures allows teams to work independently, iterate faster, and scale their front-end development efforts. So reusability, modularity, everything is properly taken care of. Now, I'm giving one example how it we can implement. So let's consider that we have 4 micro frontends, out of which one is a container. That means host. So host is running on port 3000 on your local system. As I am talking about React.js application, so I will talk in that context only mostly. So the URL can be localhost colon 3000. The second is user management, wherein I will handle the login, logout, my profile, edit profile, registration, reset password, and all that stuff. So it will run on localhost colon 3001. Appointments module, let's say there are appointment related stuff in your application, so it can run on localhost colon 3002. And payments, module wherein you can accept the payments, you can accept the credit card stuff and everything. It will run on the 3003 code. For implementing this micro frontend, you may need to have use the plugin called as module federation plugin, whose job is to connect with provide the infrastructure to connect with all the different repos. They internally connect with each other using the WebSocket technologies, and this is how it works. So it also allows the dynamic loading and sharing of JavaScript modules across different applications. So two things, one is runtime and one is build time. So you can, when we talk about runtime, that means at the time of execution only you are connecting to different MFPs, and accordingly sharing the module between different resources and different components and different MFPs. I mean, this is the runtime. But when we talk about build time, that means we build and we create the static files, which I have already explained you before this video. We create the static videos. We create the static files in one application, in folder, that is called as dist or distribution or production, whatever you want to rename it. And we keep all the files in that, executable files in that are the static files, and you keep it anywhere. Like you can keep it on S3 bucket and it will run. You can keep it on any particular folder and it will run. Okay, it's the runtime stuff, build time stuff. And runtime is, I told you, every port should be accepting the request. So micro frontend module federation plugin enables a seamless integration between the micro frontends. So there are different advantages of micro frontend and module federation plugin. What is the advantage? It allows to share the code between two micro frontends. This is why we are using micro frontend. Otherwise, there is no. This is one of the important requirement also while using the module federation plugin and micro frontend, which will save the code duplication also, and it will enhance the development, because one code will be at one repo only, right? We can implement the independent development on all the different repos. We can get the improved performance because we can enable the lazy loading, suspense, and lazy features are there in the React.js also actually, and we can improve so much performance by compressing, optimizing the images. So many things we can do. And module federation plugin, we can seamlessly integrate the different MFPs and different repos, which I am going to show you very shortly. I have written the code also. I am going to show you that all. Okay, it's a technology agnostic. That means all the different technologies you can integrate using React, Angular, Vue, or whatever. You can do the scaling and decoupling. So scaling means any one particular MFP you want to have on a higher scale, you can increase it. So you can have it on the CDNs also, or S3 buckets also, or anywhere like you want. Okay. Encapsulation means other MFP don't know what one MFP has implemented in which method. It just gets that component and executes. That's it. It doesn't know the internal executions, whatever is happening inside the other MFP. When I say MFP means micro frontend. Okay, so advantages I have told you. It simplifies the integration and collaboration between micro frontends, providing code sharing, independent development, improved performance, and seamless user experiences. It enhances the benefits of micro frontend architecture.